My first full year in real estate, 2008, I think I closed 80 deals.
Oh my God.
I got paid like I closed 2 deals.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah.
I learned a ton because I had to.
Conor, welcome to the podcast, bud. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. By the way, I just went to a lunch and people were like, are those Meta glasses where you can take pictures? You see that little thing? I just took a picture of you. It's kind of creepy, but
it is a little bit creepy.
With that said, I will tell you this. The reason why they were given to me, because I was at a conference and Meta was sponsoring it, so I didn't actually buy on my own. However, what I'll tell you is the coolest part of them is that you take phone calls and listen to music through them. So like it literally feels like you have earbuds in, but you don't. But it the music goes through this like earbone, and it's craziness. So I was at this lunch and like people were like, I don't believe it. It doesn't sound like real music coming out. And everyone was kind of shocked. So highly recommend them though.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. I don't know. I'm a little scared of some of this technology, to be honest with you. So
I am too. Actually, on the technology front, I was just talking to Paulson and we were like talking about like what is AI actually going to take over from our lives? Like I think a lot of it's overbuilt hype. Like it was like a mastermind with like 10 real estate agents just now. And like they're like, what are you guys using? And like really no one was using AI consistently. Yeah, they were using it to like ChatGPT to rewrite some stuff, but like the whole concept, it's going to like take over a variety of different jobs. I think people are going to use it to be more efficient, but like I'm not too scared. I mean, I think of a transaction we do. We have like 100 communications per deal, maybe more. It's like, how is AI going to take over that? Maybe I'm in trouble and I'm just stupid. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, so it's interesting. So I got my real estate license in 2007. Yeah. And I think like the week before I passed the test, I was at a party in Arlington, hanging out with a bunch of guys. And somebody's friend was like, oh, you're going to be replaced. Like no one's going to need an agent in 5 years with Zillow and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I hope you're wrong. Are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yes, we can curse.
Okay. So I was like, well, shit, I hope you're wrong, right? Because like I'm just getting into this. I mean, I've found that this is a relationship business. Title's a relationship business. Like people work with someone because they trust them. I don't think anyone's going to be able to just plug in AI. I mean, granted, there will be a segment of the market that spins off some AI, and that'll get 5 to 10% market share. But what's that going to eat into? That's probably going to eat into more like a Zillow or a Redfin than a proven agent.
I think you're right. I mean, I think the other thing is, let's say someone's selling for $500,000. They're like, I can save 3% by using this online platform. First of all, sell your own house kind of things have been there forever, right? And so, are you really going to save $15,000? You're probably not going to have a good negotiator. So you're probably going to lose on that portion. So, I mean, that's why I think these jobs have lasted is like the value is there with the agents. They know, that it's very easy to say you're going to get $15,000 more from someone that knows how to negotiate, knows how to leverage, the market.
Knows how to present the house. I mean,
all that kind of stuff.
I mean, it takes a strategy, and where you can save 3%, you could have gained yourself 7%. So really, you're just, in most cases, a professionally presented home is going to sell at least 5 to 7% higher than somebody that slapped it on a FSBO site. For me using AI, primarily right now, I'm trying to kind of navigate what that looks like. But the main thing that we use it for is copyright. Like cleaning up copy is the biggest thing. And then just searching for resources, really. Like it's replaced Google in terms of what I use to search. So
I agree with you. And like at first we do a lot of video stuff. We're like, oh, this is going to change things. It really hasn't. You can do some stuff on Soro, but it looks like you're using Soro, at the end of the day, like it hasn't really changed any of our video editing process. Will they get there? Maybe. But I think we might have jobs in 5 to 10 years. We'll see. Maybe
so.
not.
I hope so. We got to fund our golf habit. So
exactly. On that note, you and I played together randomly-ish a few months ago. It was the first time we hung out. Exact same handicap, 7.5-ish, right?
Indeed.
You looked way better than me. I think you were even par after 9. And I was all over the place. But
good days.
It goes back to the mean, though, right?
Yeah. That's the thing, you get a couple good scores and it brings it down, but it doesn't really count the high ones. So
Exactly, right? I'm assuming you haven't played golf in a while with the weather we've been dealing with.
nope. I'm ready for spring.
The business you bought, I think, home inspection business, is that right?
Yep, it's National Property Inspections, Coastal Carolina. So it's a individually and it's a franchisee, which I took over from. It was a retiring couple, and we've got 4 full-time inspectors, and then I've got an office manager, and I primarily focus on a little bit of business development down there and just some operational stuff.
What have you learned about the business that you didn't know about? Obviously you've worked with home inspectors your whole career, but like, have you learned anything that was surprising?
I mean, I actually went and did like the training to be a home inspector. I never sat for the exam or anything, so I'm not like officially licensed. But I mean, I learned a ton about just the inner workings of the mechanics of a home. From HVAC to roof to siding. I mean, there is a ton of information. It's pretty mind blowing. It's hard to capture it all, but you should give the respect to the home inspectors because they have to know a lot to do a good job. So,
are you now showing houses and calling out stuff that home inspectors would notice now?
Not officially, but it definitely has given me a little bit of advantage. If I'm, particularly if we have a situation where it's going to be multiple offers, and I can definitely point out things that most agents probably don't have the training that I've had on, which can be a benefit, and I can then say, perhaps we need to do a pre-inspection before we move forward with this because I'm seeing some red flags, things of that nature.
Well, tell me about your team up here. Well, you've been with Washington Fine Properties for a while. Tell us about your team and what you guys are up to.
Yeah, so Sullivan Brownell Partners is the name of my team. My partner is Matthew Brownell, who I've known for years. And I had been with Keller Williams in Arlington and had a team there, and we had moved and just was ready for a change. So I wanted to move brokerages. I'd been kind of talking to agents within Washington Fine Properties for months before I made the decision. And Matt had been on my team at Keller Williams, and I asked him to come along, and we partnered up. And then we've got 2 associate agents, Christina Varner and Megan Zimmerman, and they're both awesome. And then we have my wife, Nicole, does the social media, some of the background management on that end. So there's 5 of us. And, we try to, take a very personal and consultative approach combined with, probably 40 years of experience in this market. So, just taking what we've done and, we're relationship driven and, trying to capitalize on that. So.
Got to meet Christina, a couple of weeks ago. Loved one of, I meet different people, and so it's funny to hear like how they get business. She had a niche, unique, interesting opportunity. I think she goes to a coffee restaurant spot, and she hangs out there for a couple of hours, buys people drinks, and she's like, yeah, every time I go, I get 2 new clients. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, you don't get ROI for that.
She's very personable. So yeah, she can talk to anyone, and she's got little kids, and she's super plugged into the kind of Alexandria community. Yeah. Her kids are at St. Stephen, St. Agnes, and I know she's very plugged in there, and then kind of took that on and ran with that with the spot down at, I believe, Gustav's is the name. So if any of the listeners are out this spring on a Saturday morning, they'd probably get to meet Christina for sure. So,
yeah, absolutely. College of Charleston. I was born in Charleston. We'd go there in the summers all the time. Amazing place. What was College of Charleston like?
I mean, it was awesome. I love Charleston. Great town, great college. Still got some buddies that live down there. I definitely thought about staying. Stayed for a year or so after I graduated, but then I ended up getting into the culinary world. I was a chef before I got into real estate. So
I mean, I don't even have this in my notes, so we're going to hear about this.
Full of surprises.
All right.
So then I ended up leaving. But I love Charleston. I mean, if anyone's been there, it's a beautiful city, pretty chill people. I mean, it used to be a pretty good value when I lived there. I wish I would have bought up some real estate down there because it's gone through the roof.
It's crazy.
Ended up going to culinary.
We typically go to Kewah once a year, and we're always looking at the prices of the houses. It's like those things have just gone absolutely nuts over the last 10 years.
It's insane, yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, like anything, real estate, you know, hindsight's 2020. It's like around Arlington, you know, should have bought up a bunch of land back in the day. But
yeah, did you play Kiwa a lot over the years?
I did. One of my roommates, his buddy was a caddy out there, so he would get us on at the island course or the ocean course, which is phenomenal. So probably played, you know, dozen times out of Kiwa while I was down there.
It's great. Let's get into this culinary stuff. All right. So where were you a chef? I want to hear the whole thing. Let's go.
So yeah, I went to culinary school in Maryland. And then my first job was at 2941 in Falls Church. I started working there with the original chef and owner. He's still around somewhere. I think Vienna or something. Jonathan Kren. He's a character. That's a different podcast, though. And then I actually moved down to the Outer Banks, North Carolina, like Southern Shores Duck, and was the sous chef at the Blue Point, which is still there. Pretty famous restaurant in the Outer Banks. I was there for 4 or 5 years. And the original thought was that I would open my own restaurant at some point. But after working in the industry for 5, 6 years and seeing what the chef owners were going through, I realized that probably wasn't the life that I was looking for. So
that is a hard industry. I grew up waiting tables, and I just remember the owner. I mean, he's there every night till 2:00 in the morning, and it's like, this is not sustainable. He's there every single night. Yeah,
holidays, weekends, super hard to have like a relationship. You know. I mean, you're like your relationship is the restaurant, and I just realized that it was just too much for me. So I decided to randomly, a friend of mine up here, or one of my older brother's friends, had been selling real estate for 4 or 5 years, and he mentioned it to me, and I was like, I had looked at, you know, I majored in political science and with Latin American studies minor, but I had thought about going to law school and decided to go the culinary route instead. And then when he mentioned real estate, you know, I looked into it a little more, realized that, you know, negotiation, contract writing, you know, some of the things that I was in tune with through political science and then potentially law school were a part of it as well. So yeah, I just took the class online and ended up getting my license and got into it right when the market crashed back in 2007.
So there you go. So you got in, I think you got in right before the crash, I would assume, right? Is that what, 2008?
Yeah, I got a license. So it's interesting because the guy that kind of brought me in, he was working with some other guys who were trying to start a asset management company to manage foreclosures and REO properties, which was good timing for that. His name is Matt Martin. The company was Matt Martin Real Estate Management, MMREM. So I started working under Remax Distinctive in McLean because that's who he had his brokerage license through. And he had already started a pretty good like foreclosure portfolio, but his focus was on launching this nationwide asset management firm. So they basically dumped all their listings on me with no experience really. So my first full year in real estate, 2008, I think I closed 80 deals.
Oh my God.
I got paid like I closed 2 deals, but I learned a ton because I had to, because they were all going to conferences out in LA and Vegas and trying to do funding rounds. And, you know, obviously with questions, I'd go to them and ask, but kind of cutting my teeth, driving all over DC Metro. We had listings up to like Baltimore, down like south of Woodbridge, into neighborhoods in DC. Like it was definitely an eye-opening education, but it was good, you know, because I learned a ton. So
it's awesome. Yeah. So basically they had to liquidate these properties as part of their.
Well, I mean, it was just part of the business and, you know, keeping things going. It was the local REO portfolio. So they were working on like acquiring contracts through HUD and some other Bank of America, Wells. We were, you know, trying to get onto various distribution lists to pick up local, but then they wanted to manage a larger portfolio nationwide. So
yeah, I remember there was a lot of title companies focused on REO during those years. Something we never got into, but
yeah, you were lucky you missed that.
2008 or today, give me the similarities, differences. Pros and cons.
I mean, it's tough to say. Very different. Obviously, coming off of a crash, there were way more deals to be had, but we also were working with people that were completely upside down. We were doing short sales. I mean, if for those of us that were in the industry then, I mean, it was really sad because people had gone in and gotten overqualified for loans that they really couldn't afford. And then when the market crashed, they were completely upside down. And we were trying to prevent them from being foreclosed on because the credit damage was way worse from a foreclosure perspective versus a short sale perspective. So, I mean, this market that we're in now, some people would say that underwriting has gone too far in terms of, from the financial perspective. But I think it's helped kind of keep qualified buyers in check. And I mean, the number of foreclosures we see here now, which I've heard anecdotally is rising, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing listings on the market listed as REOs or foreclosures. So
that makes a lot of sense.
But I mean, having been in 18, 19 years and having a good book of business and repeat clients and referral clients, and we don't buy leads. We don't advertise through Zillow or any of those sites. All our business is kind of word of mouth. So
yep. No. Provide great service and they come back to you. I like it. Yeah, no, we were chatting through some different strategies and what we're seeing in the markets not too long ago. And I was just at a mastermind group. I was shocked just the amount of different approaches out there and the amount of different types of people. And some people are just pure data people that are just really good at spreadsheets. Other people are very type A. I mean, there's a variety of ways to be successful in this industry, as with all industries. Looking back, I mean, like you said, you guys it's about creating great relationships, and that's why you've been successful over the years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a good understanding of the market. I consider myself to be, fairly sharp in terms of negotiations and working with, I think gaining people's trust and knowing that you're really working for their best interest, putting the commission aside and really understanding people's relationships with, if you're working with a married couple, the dynamics in that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard many real estate tell you, I mean, you're a part-time psychologist as well as a negotiator. But I mean, I think discretion, I don't ever talk about my client's personal business outside, when they tell me something, I consider that all to be, fiduciary and I don't share, out of school with other agents or give things away. And I have some high net worth clients that I know place a high value on that. So just being honest and straightforward and giving advice that you truly feel is in their best interest is basically how I operate. And it's how I've been able to achieve success and try to keep it going,
And from a geo standpoint, you guys are doing Maryland, DC, Virginia?
I'm licensed in all three. My partner, Matt, only does Virginia. Christina does Maryland and Virginia. I would say my business is 75% inside the Beltway in Northern Virginia, maybe 10% in Maryland, 10% in DC, and then 5% outside, like Loudon. I'll do maybe one or two deals out there a year. So my folks have a property in St. Michael's, and I've been licensed in Maryland since 2009, I want to say. And I've done a handful of Eastern Shore waterfront deals. So that would be kind of a little of a niche area, usually second homes for clients here that are looking to get out there. I mean, it's a 2-hour drive, property on the water. It's a nice little deal if you can get it. So that would be, but mainly we work in Falls Church, Arlington, Alexandria, Vienna, Oakton, the areas close into DC.
Cool. I think you have a title story to share. Is that correct?
You guys would appreciate this. Tells you the importance of why you should buy title insurance.
Yep.
I was representing some buyers who were looking to tear down and build. And we came across a property in North Arlington over off Langston Boulevard, kind of near Yorktown High School. The seller was extremely eccentric. The house was a mess, but we didn't care. They were tearing it down. So we got through the settlement, got everything done. They signed a contract with a builder, Zimmerman Homes, who Megan, his wife, is on our team. I've worked with him for 15 years. Great builder. But anyways, they had torn down the house. They had started pouring the foundation. Lo and behold, this guy had sworn an affidavit with Arlington County that he was the sole owner of the property and had inherited from his mother. Turns out that was a lie. His brother was driving through the neighborhood to check on the house, and it's gone. It's just a hole in the ground with a foundation. So he obviously took legal action against his brother. Construction had to stop, put a stay on everything. Luckily, they had premium title insurance, so it covered the builder's carrying costs. It covered the litigation between the parties to get the brother paid out. And I mean, they were delayed 2 months in their construction, but they didn't have to come out of pocket for a dime. Now, had they not had insurance, that would have gone a whole different way. So,
I mean, that is a great story. And you don't hear that many stories of like, oh, why do you get title insurance? But like, unfortunately in our industry, there are quite a few times where people are trying to sell homes they don't own. There's a lot of fraud out there. And, the good thing is it's a one-time fee. You never pay again, for the lifetime of that you own it, your heirs own it. So in a sense, it is a good insurance policy to have,
I mean, I tell my clients, like you said, one time it's like you're never going to need it until you do. And if you do, it's going to pay for itself 100 times over.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think that most insurance is that way. You never need it until you actually need it. But I think
exactly, man.
Particularly title is important. So I always recommend my clients get it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know this too. So what we always say is like if there's a condo that's been searched numerous times and it's been around for a long time, you get standard policies for title insurance, but you definitely want to get enhanced on any type of new construction or any type of new build, single family homes. That's just a good little guide for those people who are like, when should I get standard? When should I get enhanced? And so glad you got the enhanced there.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I tend to agree with you on the condo, new development. You would think like the builder has, cleared most of that stuff before they start selling the houses. But definitely any existing sale for single family, even townhouse, you just don't know who in the chain of ownership can come in and say that they were supposed to be the owner of that property and got cheated out of it somehow. So
Exactly. I really appreciate you coming on, telling the story. Good to see you. Look forward to some golf weather and hopefully a couple months here.
All right, let's do it.
And then for those out there that want to find you and want to work with you, what's the best way to find you guys?
I mean, you can SullivanBrownell.com is our website, or you can just search it on Google. Search my name, Conor Sullivan. I'll come up on all the sites. Instagram, Facebook, whatever. We're all on there. Sullivan Brownell Partners, Washington Fine Properties. So.
Appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks for coming today.
You got it. Good seeing you.